So, Gamachis, this is the Global Digest think tank group, and you are our guest today. What is your background? Where are you right now?
Thank you so much for having me here. My background is I'm a lawyer. Currently, I am practicing as attorney and legal consultant at Ethiopian Federal Courts and as well as Oromia Regional State Courts, or at all level of courts actually.
So,
And I'm currently based in Addis Ababa,
I see.
actually working for the government before, I think, six for 6 years. I've been as a prosecutor in government, especially in PAC-related matters, before I think 6 or 7 years. But since then, starting from 2020, I'm working with companies, actually mining companies, and also uh, manufacturing companies as a legal advisor. Currently, I'm working on my own. I have my own office, uh, usually having individual cases, especially client cases, but mostly I'm working with companies, uh, especially in mining sector.
I see. So now you are private lawyer.
Yes, I'm private lawyer. I work on retention basis with companies.
I see. You said you're working with a mining company or any industry.
For the last 2 years, I've been engaged with Coca-Cola Beverages Africa, and also the mining, it actually, the mining company is a British-based company.
I see.
It's not, and also local companies which are based in manufacturing sector. Chinese companies are more or less progressing in Ethiopia. They
I
have
see.
deployed in so many different sectors. Once upon a time, I engaged only once, but my practice at court shows that many Chinese companies are almost ending their case at court, especially so many employees complaining about, especially right-related abuses, especially low wage and such kind of things are uh, almost raised regarding with the Chinese companies. So many complaints are there actually.
I see. I see. So,
And regard to this, actually, as I said, I'm involving only with one British company. And also, as I've said, I'm engaged with Coca-Cola Beverage Africa, which is American-based company actually. Uh, as of my involvement with there regarding human rights with regarding the human rights, they are more better to be honest.
I see. It's depend on company norm and standard, right? And
Yeah. Uh, Ethiopia is a landlocked country. We don't have sea access. So everything we import mostly is through Djibouti. The other side is Eritrea. So Ethiopia's and Eritrea's relation is not good for a decades, almost for 2 more decades. So the way from Eritrea is locked. So everything we depend on Djibouti.
I see. So, I mean, Ethiopia, you don't have a seaport, right? So you use Djibouti seaport or Eritrea seaport or how's your sea route connection? Where is you do export import? You don't have
I
sea
think it is
import.
it is through Djibouti seaport only at the moment.
I see.
There is also an attempt, an intention to use Somaliland, such kind of things, but that one is not yet finalized because of the
I see.
Somaliland's issue with Somalia. But
I see.
there is a potential to use Somaliland seaport maybe in the future. But also there is a kind through Kenya. We also use Kenya, but the Kenya seaport is very much far from Ethiopia. I think you
Right.
know Mombasa. Mombasa is so much kilometer away from us.
Right.
But the chance we have now is only Djibouti, maybe potentially Somaliland. If Ethiopian and the Eritrean case is resolved, we may also use Eritrean port. Actually, as you may know, Eritrean port is originally belongs to Ethiopia because of the Eritrean secession in 1991, 1992. That issue gone from Ethiopia.
I see, I see. So, recently Israeli recognized Somaliland as independent country, but I don't know Ethiopia position. It's recognized Somaliland's independent country, then I think you can use Somaliland seaport and you can make easier agreement between Somaliland and Ethiopia. What is Ethiopia position?
On the Somaliland's status recognition.
Right, independent of Somaliland.
Yeah, I think in January 2025, if you remember, Ethiopia recognized Somaliland as statehood, and
See,
yeah, Ethiopia and the Ethiopian Prime Minister and the Somaliland's president signed the MOU,
I see. So
which
Somaliland
recognized Somal. But
is,
that case, that created a lot of mess, uh, especially from Somalia. And I think
right,
the Ethiopian state current situation is not good internally and externally. Uh, then it created a kind of dispute between Somalia and Ethiopia, and later on that was resolved through mediation by uh, Turkey at Ankara, uh, and Ethiopia and Somalia make a kind of arrangement. I think that actually there is no clear withdrawal of recognition that was previously made by Ethiopia. But Ethiopia, I think, currently holding a kind of approach, a silent approach. But internally, there is a tendency of recognizing Somaliland. But Ethiopia fears to uh, give recognition actually now because of the relation Ethiopia had with Somalia, and also, as I said, because of internal and external issues at hand, especially in Ethiopia.
see. So it means 2025 Ethiopia already recognized independent of Somaliland, but because of many problem now Ethiopia position recognition of Somaliland, it's just keep quiet or it, it's not announcement again.
Yeah, actually it is difficult. As I said before, there is a kind of MOU signed between two states on January 1, 2025.
Already
Uh,
fine.
yeah, already. That created, as I said, a dispute between Somalia and Ethiopia. So after a long period of, I think a certain period of disagreement, through Turkey's involvement, Ethiopia's relation and Somalia's relation maintained because of the Ankara Declaration. But the declaration says nothing about the MOU. It says nothing. And Ethiopia didn't clearly withdrawn its MOU that already signed.
I see.
No rejection of the MOU, no rejection of the recognition that was already made. Even Somaliland and Ethiopia is having good relation now. There is continuous relationship. Though about the issue of the signed MOU about the recognition is not raised again, but Ethiopia and Somaliland have working relationship still. So the country have two relationship with two states actually. I cannot say actually Somaliland state at the moment, but uh, independent state. So we actually
But
so.
you have already MOU, mean that is official recognition of Somaliland.
Yes, it's
So
official. It is globally advertised at the time.
so your MOU is still valid, right? Still valid, but it's a kind of, you said, silence because of
Yeah.
Turkey intervention. But now Israeli openly announced again Somaliland as independent countries. So
Yeah.
maybe Ethiopia can uh, cooperate with Israeli and recognize Somaliland again. I think it may be easier because of Israeli also recognize. And any other country else recognize Somaliland so far?
No, the first country is actually Ethiopia through the MOU, and
And Israel.
the other one is Israel. As you know, Ethiopia and Israel have good relation actually at the moment. That may also leads to implicit recognition. But at the moment, as I rightly indicated so far, uh, Ethiopia don't want to uh, explicitly recognize because of different circumstances. So there are issues surrounding the Horn of Africa now. Ethiopia is more or less in conflict with Eritrea, with Egypt, and such kind of things may let the country to may remain silent, and also internal problem, political problems are there. So I think it is wise to be technical at the moment.
I see. So I don't know, Israeli provide any military assistance to Somaliland, or is there any Israeli base, army base in Somaliland? Do you have any idea?
I don't think at the moment uh,
I see.
Israeli do not have any presence, but this thing may be happen in future because since they are becoming a partner, uh, this recognition may indicate such kind of things.
Right. So it is possible, right, if Israeli has strongly relationship with Somaliland, and Somaliland, they are mostly Muslim, right?
Of course, actually, the region which is adjacent to Somaliland is more or less they are beyond 95% they are Muslim nations, but Ethiopia totally characterized more by Christian population, though significant Muslim populations are there. I think they are 40% or 45%. Around 40% may goes to Muslim population.
Orthodox Christian, right? Orthodox Christian in Ethiopia. Yeah,
Not only Orthodox Christian, but evangelical Christians, or actually predominantly Ethiopia is characterized by Orthodox Christian, but recent development shows evangelicals also emerging,
I see.
especially since 1991. Uh, uh, More especially the population which goes to evangelical is more rapid. So I forgot, don't know the percentage. There is high percentage of evangelicals also, but when we compare evangelicals and Orthodox Christians take the majority. Eritrea also Muslim, there are also Orthodox, but
I see.
evangelicals are very much rare there, especially a clear separation of evangelicals there, like in Ethiopia when there was a Derg regime before 1991.
I see. Ethiopia is interesting, right? Ethiopia is surrounded by Muslim countries.
Of course, Somalia, if you see Somalia, if you see Somaliland, if you see Sudan and the West, and North Djibouti, almost Eritrea, half part, uh, except Kenya.
I see. Most are Muslim, right?
Most are Muslim, but we are hoping that in Ethiopia, Christian is growing in alarming rates. Actually, predominantly, Ethiopia consider herself as a Christian state, which is actually not. Muslims are there here in Ethiopia from the very beginning, from the 7th century. Uh, but we see Christian dominance, and
Okay,
we
Muslim.
also hope in the future Ethiopia is even sending missionaries to outside
I
now,
mean,
especially evangelical movements are promising though different scenarios affecting actually the mission movement here.
a lot of Muslim are easy to increase population. They make a lot
Yeah,
of
the
people.
problem is that thing. For example, in Muslims, uh, they can easily increase population. One male can have four wives,
I
which
see.
leads to a kind of multiplication. When you come to the Christian, especially evangelicals, most progressing population uh, in here, especially the biblical principle, which one man with one woman, and
Right.
also because of the current economic situation, especially in cities, uh, yeah, people start don't want to have many children, maybe one,
Right.
two, three, four. Actually, previously, every Christian communities may marry two wives. It's a culture. Now
I
this
see.
tendency is currently already being avoided, especially in evangelicals. This is completely forbidden. If you marry another wife, you will be cancelled from the church membership. Actually, it is a clear, it aligns with the Bible. But in the Muslim society, they're gonna have more children, even in one family, and also they may have so many wives. So such kind of things may create a kind of increase
Right.
in the Muslim population.
So, I mean, as you said, Muslim are easy to increase population because they have a lot of wife and they have a lot of children that make
Yeah,
easy. And but Christian is not allowed for multiple wives. And
yeah.
you said Ethiopia law used to allow to have more than one wife, uh, including Christian before, or what about current law? And
Okay.
what about Muslim Shia law is allowed in Ethiopia, or what is Ethiopian position?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in Muslim nations or Muslim densely populated areas. Uh, Actually, the Ethiopian law is not in favor of having many wives. Even the Ethiopian criminal law criminalizes bigamy,
I see.
the law which is currently in force. But in it also indirectly accepts Sharia laws uh, in the communities when Muslims are populated. They are regulated by Sharia laws. The Ethiopian law give a room for customary laws and practices. So it have got recognition. So through that vacuum or loophole, Muslims are allowed to have uh, many wives. But Christians are actually, if a wife go to a court, she can stop such kind of things. In Christian communities, not allowed.
Right. So Ethiopia law allow customary law for Muslim community. So it means
Yeah,
they can practice Shia law
yeah,
in Muslim community. So based on Shia law, they can have multiple wives.
Yes, we have different law actually before the current incumbent government, but I don't remember about this issue. But customary, even though even currently the law prohibits bigamy, there are people who have 2 and 3 wives, even which are not Muslims, apart from Christians also. There are also customary religions which people who follow, even though they are rare, they have 2 and more wives. And also Orthodox Christians in some areas they have. Uh, so the government is not strict in this sense. If it is not objected, if it is not objected, so people may continue. People are uh, having wives so far, especially in rural areas, not in towns. Because of the level of literacy, especially during the past times. Currently, especially around towns, cities, women are more or less they are becoming active. They can object, and if they took the case to court, they can easily stop.
I see. But rural area is not easy to go to court, right?
Yeah, it is not easy as such.
I see. So, I don't know, Ethiopian law, is there exception law in Ethiopian law for non-Muslim who has multiple wives?
No, no, no exception. But professional views the constitution it says the constitution gives for the recognition of customary and religious practices in the constitution.
So
Actually,
custom,
when we see,
I mean, customary in rural area, you can say rural area, they can have multiple wives. That is their customary. Can you say their
yes, in this,
traditional?
yeah, so in Ethiopia there are so many nations and nationalities almost around beyond 70. So you may have different specific cultures, which is different from the majority, especially in adjacent, in peripheries, in which not as such literacy level is not high. So in that case, even the accessibility of everything is limited.
I see. So, I mean, maybe ancient time or maybe traditional practice in many tribal area or rural area. At the time, their customary law is they used to have multiple wife, right? It is like
Yes,
that.
yes.
So that is customary law. So according to constitution, they can practice customary law in that context, probably, right?
It gave room for recognition, but that one is not suffice. There has to be a kind of substantive law which has to be adopted beyond the constitution, because as you see, the constitution is a general framework. And actually, the tendency currently is because of different developments, because of different rights, uh, right claimant, such kind of things are, I think, the tendency is being limited. I think I remember that the issue raised to Ethiopian government, I think Geneva, especially when the country report annual human right progress, it's why you allow bigamy, especially through the lens of customary practices, the religious matters, and also why you criminalize same-sex marriage? Because in our criminal law clearly uh, criminalize such kind of activity.
I see. So Ethiopian law doesn't allow same-sex marriage, right?
Of
Gay,
course,
gay marriage.
gay marriage, not marriage, even having sex, man with man, woman with woman,
It means
it's criminalized.
Ethiopia law prohibited LGBT.
Yes, I'm working with religious institutions. Uh, Even I am part of actually, I'm working in addition to as a legal professional as an attorney. I also took part in leadership of religious matters.
You are church leader or a kind of
Yes,
then.
yes.
Okay.
I took part for the last 10 years. I'm serving also in church services, especially the church as a current funding is, currently there are so many social and economic problems, and the church should have some kind of character and discipline. As I said, especially we see a kind of problems in evangelical spheres. They are multiplying, but the multiplication lose so many qualities, biblical principles, uh,
You mean
especially
abortion issue?
such kind of things also available in the believers, especially within the community, and also the evangelism, how the gospel is preached, how the believers are managed, especially self-claimed prophets, such kind of thing is especially we observe a kind of manipulations in different newly established churches.
I
As
see.
you know, there are socio-economic challenges now because of inflation, because of internal conflicts and so forth.
Right.
We are lacking the church to play its role because of so many things.
I see. So it means you want to say about the community has problem with socio-economic problem and also
Yeah,
spiritual problem. You want to say they are spiritual problem.
yeah. Of course, yes. Spiritual problem. There is a kind of spiritual weakness,
I see.
lack of spiritual quality, lack of well spiritual development.
What about in the church? I mean, Ethiopian church, you have any dispute about offering or tithes, about financial issue? Do you have any
Yeah.
legal problem on that?
Of course, such kind of thing is mostly happening in not in congregational churches, especially such kind of problem mostly rampant in individual churches. There are so-called individual churches, which are just one-man-led churches are becoming more and more here in country, especially in evangelical spheres.
Right,
When only the pastor do everything. When he everything collects from manipulates and use for his personal use and everything. Uh, the believers not as such, they are not as such critical. They push them, they give, then and a few people collect the money and use for their personal kind of things. But we
right.
can also, but
Is
in
there
constitutional
any
in constitutional churches, such kind of thing is better than others.
and
Uh,
any dispute
Actually,
at
because
the court? Any dispute?
yes, sometimes, of course, they dispute may come. Actually, the court, rigid religious matters mostly are not taken to court, but there are a few cases which are referred to court.